Hey, full disclosure on this video before we begin. Snapcycle sent me the bike that you're about to see in this video. Thank you very much to Snapcycle. It is now currently selling for $15.99 on their website, and they do have them in stock and shipping from the West Coast to the continental US with free shipping involved. It's a great deal for the price that you're getting at $15.99 if you jump on it now. And again, like I said, they have it in stock. So let's go to the video. What's up, e-bike fans? In this video, we're going to be unboxing, reviewing, and going over the specs of the Snapcycle R1 750 watt fat tire bike. So let's get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and give you a shot of what it looks like inside. Okay, so this is just a quick shot of what it looks like when you open the box from the top. Usually some of these pieces are loose. Okay, and this rack comes out as well. This is what I'm looking for also, is the pedals and the box. Sometimes this rim is attached to the frame and this one is not attached. So this comes right out too. Oh, nice. Okay, that's everything that's loose out of here. So the rest we're gonna have to pull out. Okay, so this is the stuff that came in loose on the side. We have a little toolkit here that I opened up. I'm gonna show you. These Allen wrenches are really gonna be important throughout the bike. So this is actually a really nice set to have. And of course some wrenches, 15 millimeter, 8, 10, and a 6 and 11 and a 13 here. But most importantly, I think, bring your attention to, it actually comes with a 3 amp charger. So a 3 amp charger actually is going to be a lot faster than some of the 2 amps that come out. I mean, it's a 33% faster with an extra, one whole extra amp on it. So that's really cool because, you know, you don't have to wait as long for your battery to recharge. So we're going to put this aside. And that's actually one of the things that we're going to want to charge up first so that tomorrow we can ride. And in the meantime, let's go ahead and put the rest of the bike together. Okay, at this point, I was actually going to go ahead and show you guys the whole unboxing and assembly of the bike itself. But to be honest, this was so easy to assemble because there is a video online made by Snapcycle that is exactly piece by piece the way that the bike gets put together. I'm going to skip all that over. If you guys want to see the assembly of the bike and how it's done, I honestly think anybody could do it as long as you're following the video along. Go along, take your time, put it together, and it took probably about 40 minutes to get the whole bike put together, ready to run, and even for my first test ride. So I'm going to skip that over, and then we're going to go straight into the components of this bike because it is such an amazing bike that let's go into that part next. Okay, so let's go over the components of this bike here. And starting with the fender, we're going to go all the way from the back to the front. I just want to point out that this is actually a simple plastic fender on the bike, which makes it actually really quiet. And also, of course, lightweight. But doesn't make any of the extra rattling noises that you can typically find with maybe some of the other aluminum style fenders. We have a really sturdy rack on the back side here, and also we have a tail light here. It is not an integrated tail light though, so it does not connect to the battery part. But you have actually multiple functions by hitting the button here. As you can see, it goes from a blinking to actually a steady light, and then also that. So you can use that. It has its own internal battery here. Then coming down to, we have the CST BFT 26x4-inch fat tires. And you know, these are basic tires found on many different fat tire bikes. They work really, really well, feel very comfortable. And you can soften them a lot if you want. I think they go up to a 30 PSI max. Then going back also to the rack here, I want to also point out it does have these really cool bungee strap hook areas because a lot of times racks don't have it. You have to hook it to the frame or some other places on there as well. But then looking a little lower, we have our motor. And this is a Snapcycle branded motor, but I did find out from Snapcycle that it is actually a 750 watt Shangy motor with, that's a 750 nominal with 1200 peak wattage that'll be feeding into that when you need to have the power coming out. And that's because of the 25 amp controller plus the 48 volt battery put together, that you have like a really decent amount of power coming into this motor right here. If you look closely, we next have actually our 6 gears. This is a 14 to 28 tooth gearing on the back side here. And in the next part here, we have a standard Shimano tourney. And this does everything it's supposed to do. Of course, with it only being at 6 speeds. Of course, it's an electric bike too. 6 speeds is actually a range from 14 all the way to 28 tooth. That's more than enough to go ahead and get you around. Most people actually find they don't use all the gearing anyway if you have anything more than 6 or sometimes even more than 5. It is a free wheel as well. The Snapcycle motor, by the way, is a 750 watt brushless geared hub motor. That's also in there as well. These frame here, if you look at I wanted to point out, if you look at the welding on this frame, it is really well done. I really like the way that this welding is put together here, even on all of these areas here. This Snapcycle emblem also has some kind of like an iridescent in the lighting. Different angles have different types of coloring that come out of it, like a rainbowish style that come out here. We have our Neko pedals. And these are standard pedals as well. They're wide, very comfortable, with reflections on them for a little extra safety there as well. And the front is a 48 tooth aluminum this is a plastic guard on both sides, but it is an aluminum alloy on the inside here. And standard crank sets that will help protect. All in all, one, they keep it quiet, but also help protect your pants from getting dirty. We also have, moving up here, a quick release for your seat post. This is a 27.2 millimeter seat post. Pretty standard and basic, which means if you ever wanted to go ahead and need a longer or shorter or suspension seat post, you can always easily just swap the tail. It's a really basic standard size. This seat, this is something I wanted to bring up about this seat. This is one seat that came stock with the bike that really does not need to be changed out. I have Cloud9s, I have the Bikeroo seats, there's really soft ones that replaced on other bikes. This is one bike you don't need to actually replace the seat itself. Plus, with the fat tires, the comfort is really already built into this whole bike. They did a really good job. Talking to Snapcycle, they also said that not only did they want to make sure it's really comfortable from the start, but their quality control, they do, I would even call excessive quality control with the factory to making sure that these are actually being made that there's no problems whatsoever. So everything that comes over is been double checked, triple checked, and actually working out really well. Moving a little more forward, I'll get back to the battery a little later, but I want to go to the fork because of the comfort that I've been speaking about. It has an 80 millimeter travel on this as well. It's a Mozo fork. Not that I've heard of a lot of different brands of forks, but I do know that in some of the footage that I also have, you'll see, it absorbs everything. It's a really nice fork. Does a great job in keeping comfort on the ride when you're going around over anything that's like curbs or even speed bumps or even just like off-road terrain that we have here. It just eats up all of those, so you hardly will feel the bumps in the road that's coming through. As you notice, the wiring also is really awesome, how it goes inside the frame so that it's not like running all over the place. We have, again, our integrated battery here. This is a 48 volt 14 amp hour battery, which gives you anywhere from about 30 to 45 or 50 miles, depending how much you're assisting it. And as we come back around to this side, I want to point out, we have our Tektro brakes here. Now, the one cool thing about these brakes is that they work so well. Both John, my test rider, and myself both thought that maybe these were actually hydraulic brakes. That's how soft and how sensitive they are and how well the stopping power comes out of it. With that and paired up with it is a 180 millimeter disc brake on top of that. These brakes work, some of the best mechanical disc brakes I have come across yet. Like I said, both John swore it was hydraulic when we were riding, and at the beginning I double guessed myself on whether or not, or had to really make sure that they didn't put hydraulics on there, because these brakes really feel good. Again, aluminum alloy handles that we have here. They have the motor cutoff switches built in, so that when you hit the brakes, the motor cuts off. They will help to make sure that you're not getting power to your bike while you're trying to stop at the same time. Yeah, we have a basic up and down. Let's go on the controller here to go up and down with your pedal assist power, and then of course your power buttons here. You hold that for a few seconds, that turns on your bike. This M here goes through your different modes, and we'll go over that. Okay, and as we move forward, you'll see that we do have an integrated headlight here. And this headlight here, just by hitting the up light button, let me go ahead and turn the bike on for a sec here. Once the bike is on, and if I hit the up button here, you'll see that the indicator up in this corner here shows that the light is on. And with that, you can actually see the light. I mean, you know, this is really a safety light. It is actually fairly decently bright, but when you're going at about, you know, 15, 20 miles an hour, you're not going to want to use that as your main probably light to light up your front road. It's going to be more so for something like for visibility, so you can be seen. Along with the other safety features that come on here, you have 12 gauge spokes, and on those spokes they actually put on these reflectors on both the front and the rear wheel. We have the reflector there, as you can see on that part as well. We do have a strong, again, another aluminum alloy kickstand here. Another thing I wanted to point out is you do have a quick release in the front for your front tire or your front rim to come off. So in case you do, hopefully you don't get one, but a flat, you can always just pop off the wheel pretty quickly, maybe patch it up on the road, and then get right back on it without having to have any extra wrenches to have to carry around yourself. The back hub, you would have to actually carry a 80mm wrench to go ahead and pull off those back nuts back there, but for the most part, I mean, this is your 750 watt standard fat tire bike that's on the market. Oh, I also want to point out these handlebars here as well. They do have a swept back look to it, and in the past I have never really been a fan of this swept back type style. Some of the bikes that I test rode when I first looking into getting a fat bike, I didn't care for it as much, because when I wanted to stand up and actually pedal, I felt as though it was kind of like pulling toward me this way rather than actually the leverage that I wanted. But these particular bars, I actually really love the way the angled are at. This is made to have a more cruiser style feel, but yet it does have the angle of the grips that actually will keep it so that you can still get up and go without having to feel like your hands are going to slip off, because some of the grips that I felt on other cruiser bikes are so much this way that it kind of like feels as though you don't have that strong hold on it. So this actually does have, it's a really well angled handlebar here. I just really like it. The width is not too wide. It's the perfect width for me as well. And at someone who's 5'5" and my reach is a little shorter, this actual bike is designed for people who are from 5'3" over 6 feet tall, and at my shorter height at 5'5", it really does make a great bike for people who are shorter like me. Now, even with this here, this post, I don't even have it all the way down, because like I said, I am only 5'5", but it can go lower. This will give me my full leg extension from here to top to bottom, so that's what I really like about that as well. And what else can I also say, because I want to get to some of the best highlights of this bike before moving on. Is there anything smaller I should mention? Okay, so let's go ahead. I want to talk about one of the best things right now that's hard to find in some of these bikes is the battery itself. As you can see, it's completely integrated, and let me go ahead and show you how it comes out. Okay, so as you can see here with the keyhole, basically get the battery out, you put that in, you turn it to the right, and then you just kind of turn this knob here and it'll pop the battery right out. And with the battery coming out here, we have a very nicely designed battery. And at the top here, if you ever want to check the power rating, you can actually push it from here, and it actually shows you, so that if you're wondering if you have a full battery at home before, or if you forgot if you charged it or not when it was out of the bike, that's one way to do it as well. But as you can see how easy it is to take it in and out from here. If you need to remove your battery for safety reasons, like when you have it parked somewhere, and you want to make sure no one's going to take your battery, at least you can do that. And here, if you can see this, we have the 48 volt 14 amp hours at 672 watt hours on there. So you got your nice size battery that's in here for an integrated size. But the biggest and best thing about this battery right now is that these come with actually Samsung cells, and these are the high-end cells that come in here, which, if you have been following my channel, you'll know that I've been talking about the shortages that are happening and the battery issues with lithium-ion batteries being a concern in the industry, because Samsung actually is not providing them as well, or as abundantly as before. But the other thing is that they're actually getting super expensive. So right now, with all the bikes currently in stock with Snapcycle, you will get the best cell batteries as far as the industry standard goes, or what people will talk about. And that's a really big thing about these, because like I said, most of these batteries are actually getting higher priced, and they're using actually some brands that are actually not even known or as reputable. But you'll get the name brand, again, Samsung high-end batteries. They are currently on all the Snapcycle battery bikes that are currently being actually shipped out at this point in time. So that's a huge benefit. Once this is in, you can pull out your key. You do not need to have the key in the bike in order for you to run it. So just keep that in mind. If you leave this on in the battery, in this position right here, someone can just jump on your bike. So make sure you always lock it and secure it, or take out the battery when you're going away. The other thing I'd like to point out is, when you're looking at this here, is it does have actually a side port here, so that when the battery is in, you can charge it without having to remove it right in the bike itself here. And this is it's not the tightest seal, but it does have at least rain protection from getting this wet or water inside of there as well. Okay, so let's go on to the display itself. We have everything on. Basically, turn on the bike, you just hold the button there. So basically, you can, with the M button here on the left, by pushing it once, you'll cycle through the different speeds that you have. So you have an average speed of 7 miles an hour in the last run. Hitting it again, we have the max speed hit at 30.4 miles an hour. But if you cycle through, after going through that, then you notice if I hit it again that we have the total mile odometers on there, given how much time I've been riding in this last trip. This is just a trip meter, and the total miles over. So that's basically the majority of what we have here. Now, out of the box, this bike comes with a 20 mile an hour top speed. And at that 20 mile an hour top speed, even before you unlock the bike, and the bike will take you up to 24 miles an hour and then bring you back down to 20. I don't know why that setting is, but both John and I really liked it. Now I'm going to be hitting this plus button at the top here. By holding the top, again, you'll notice the light goes on. You're holding it once more, and it turns off the headlight. By clicking the up button here, you'll see that the pedal assist in this section is going up to 3, 4, and 5. Now at 0, the throttle does not work, but at 1, it actually does. And you'll see this level meter here. Let me see if I can go ahead and get this level to show. I'll take the back tire off. Okay, so there you can see at 1, yeah, we have it there where the level will stay pretty low. Now I'm going to bring this up to power pedal assist 2, so you can see that here. And I'm going to lean the bike over again. Okay, and what you can see is that it gave a little more boost to the rear wheel, but let's go to 4 instead, so you don't see every level. And you can see how high it jumps up. It shows basically the current that's actually being pushed out. So I typically like to know exactly how many amps I'm actually putting out into the bike itself, because if I'm keeping it at high very long, it's kind of like a tachometer on your car. When you have that RPM running too high, I mean, it's like if you're redlining it all the time, that's not good for your motor in your car. And it's the same for e-bikes. If you're actually redlining it, or in this case, if you're running at the high level for very, very long periods of time, the motor is designed at 750 watts nominal. And that's mostly the most 750 watt bikes out there, which they do allow for some peak higher wattage, which means more power to come out. And when you do that, you're actually going above and beyond the temperature that the motor is designed to run for long periods of time. So you don't want to keep running that, because if the longer you keep it running really hot, the shorter life your motor will be. So I like the fact that they actually kind of have this little reading, because then you can see, I mean, once you get up to speed, the current doesn't have to maintain as high, but I like that. I mean, there's some bikes like, the other bikes that I run on, when you hit the throttle, it automatically just goes from like 0 to top rating. There's no in between. And even no matter when you're on pedal assist 1 or pedal assist 5, you get the same amount with the throttle. It's just the throttle has its own independent setting on it. So this one actually has levels that you go up. When you unlock it, the bike can go up to 28 or 29 miles an hour on pedal assist 5, and even 4, it actually goes up to higher levels. But your throttle will always stop at 20 miles an hour. So that's one thing that you always just want to kind of keep in mind. You want to go above that, then you're going to have to do a little bit of pedaling. You don't have to put any pressure on it, but the pedal assist will kick it up. You can go up to 29 miles an hour at that point. Again, the pedal assist, what it does is the power or the current that it actually is put to the motor itself is kind of controlled by the pedal assist settings here, which is, again, really ideal in a lot of places, especially if you want somebody who's learning to use a bike. This is a great all-around beginner to advanced bike. I mean, me as an advanced rider, I love this bike. It actually, with the speed that it gets, the power that it gets, and the smooth acceleration. Some people might say that the acceleration is like not like but bikes like the high performance bikes like the Blackbird, where as soon as I hit the throttle, the bike pretty much lurches forward. There's no control to actually keep it lower, which I'm prepared for and I'm more ready for. But somebody who's not experienced or hasn't been on a bike for a long time, then you're going to have a safety factor, really, is what it comes down to. So with this type of gradual increase that comes up on it, it's really good. And if they want more power and they want to get it higher, you can actually do it. It gets up to 20 miles an hour within seconds. Like, I think it's 6 or 7 seconds, you'll be up there at pedal assist 5. Or if you want to take it easy, you can go at 1 and it'll take its time getting up to that with your throttle. You know, this is a bike where I don't really have any problem with any of my relatives wanting to try it, and even though they're intimidated by the size of it, because it is a 26 by 4 inch fat tire bike, and it, 72 pounds. It's a hefty bike, but it has everything that's needed on this. Now, the only thing that I've added on, so in some of my ride videos that you see when I'm doing this, is that I need to have mirrors when I ride. So that's the only other accessory I'd say you really need to buy, other than a lock, because you want to keep this bike safe. Where normally a lot of times I have to change out the seat. This is not a bike you need to change out the seat. Again, the design and the quality that they put into this, the control. One of the things that the owner of Snapcycle had mentioned over and over when I actually talked to them on a Zoom call, and I said, what's the main thing that they really want to stress? And they said, one is the batteries. They are still getting Samsung battery cells in all the bikes that are in stock. 2, that it is in stock, that you really should think about getting them now because of the bike shortage that's happening. They have all the quality components that are still being harder to find. I mean, Tektro brakes are still on there. They started making these bikes or ordering all their parts well over a year ago to get it so that we have what we have in stock today. And then of course, there's Samsung cells. That's one of the big pluses for it. But the other thing is that the quality. They spend so much time on quality control because they know that they want to make sure that people who get their bikes, if there's any problems with it once it arrives, that they're not going to be happy. So they want to make sure that the moment you get it, it's easy to assemble. The assembly video is super clear, very easy to follow along. The display is easy. They also will have instructions that you can ask for and unlock codes to unlock the current that goes to the bike itself if you want to make more power on it. I think the way it comes stock is just fine. I just wanted to unlock the higher speeds and the current that actually is pushed to the motor too. If you want more power in that can also be unlocked. So this bike right now, I totally unlocked it just so that we could get the full power of the feeling of the bike itself. But other than that, they, with their stressing of the customer service, they want to make sure that they do things right, that everybody has potential to go ahead and get in touch with them. If you look on their website at snapcycle.com and you go to contact us, they even have a phone number, which is really cool. You can actually contact them, and they actually even have a fill-in form on the website. They're also very clear that they want to make sure that you will be taken care of. So if you say, that you have an issue with the bike, they have not only contacts to make sure that you get the parts out really fast that you need, but also that they can help you, walk you through the steps of any parts or components that might have issues. But like I said, this is a new company that's on the market, and they're doing things right. I really highly recommend, if you're considering looking for an e-bike on the market, that you look into a Snapcycle. This is the Snapcycle R Step-Thru model. They have a Snapcycle R, which is the regular standard frame model that has a crossbar going across the top. But this Step-Thru really is a great design, and of course, with this low step over, it's so easy even for me. Again, I'm only 5'5", but if I come to approach the bike here, very easy for me to step over. Again, if you can see, I cannot sit on the seat at the way that I have it. Oh, by the way, this is the suspension, how it absorbs all of those bumps and shocks. It does have a lockout, so if I want to lock it too, by the way, that's one thing I forgot to mention, that I can lock it, and it also has preload adjustments, so I can make it harder or stiffer on know if I want to or not on that way. But this gives me full leg extension when I do have the bike all the way put out there where I'm pedaling. So I have my full leg extension there, but that's why I have the seat where it's at. There are some riders who need the seat lower because they're maybe just more comfortable being able to get on the bike and having to be able to sit on it while they're waiting, where I could actually do this and have my feet down. And I could ride like this. It's just that I like to have full leg extension. So again, I'm 5'5", my inseam is at 29 inches. With my shoes, it's 30. And even balls on my feet. So this is probably about a 32 touching that I'm actually able to do this. And John at 6 feet, when he was riding this bike too, he had it higher, but he was, you know, he felt comfortable where I was at, so he could stay on the seat. So that's the sizing of this bike. So at 5'5", this is a bike that actually is made for guys like us who are shorter, or riders like us who are shorter that kind of wanted to have a bike that we could fit well on. Right, I had a blast. Hey John, thanks so much for joining me on today's. Can I get just any few words about what you thought today about the bike and the Snapcycle itself?
First impressions, it was a good looker. It's kind of got a satin finish to it. Very impressive. I was very appreciative that it was a step-through because I'm partially disabled. And it's not easy swinging a leg over a bike, so I was able to get on this, no challenges at all. I was very impressed with, right out of the gates, how much smoother it is than my bike. It's quite comfortable, and even when you put, I believe you put 30 pounds of air pressure in there, almost scared me. But it turned out to, I was surprised. But it's got very decent front suspension. I believe you said you put it together last night, and but you got it dialed in. The brakes were, I was absolutely convinced they were hydraulic until you swore to me they weren't. They'll stop really, really well. The acceleration was a little more than I expected, I think. Certainly not scary, but it moves right along. Let me tell you, it's no slouch. I thought it was odd that on throttle only, it went up to about 24, 25 miles an hour, and then it started to settle down to about 19 to 20, and it stayed there. But when you put it in the tall gear and you start to pedal, it takes off, and it really takes off. It's very impressive. We don't have a lot of hills in this particular area. Running over to my house, I've got hills, but there's no doubt in my mind this thing will go right up. It's more powerful than one I own, and it's a looker. It's a nice looking bike. And going uphill, and I've got it on 3 assist and 5 in the gear. It seems quite comfy. Nice.
Now we had that one steep hill that we did go up that you said you were in pedal assist 3, and there were no problems coming up that
no problem. And then we went up another one later, and I was in pedal assist. I think it was 1 or 2. No, it was 2, and it was a pretty steep hill, and it just, I mean, you know, or grade in that particular area, and it was not an issue at all. I was quite pleased, and because my knees are bad, and. Thank goodness for these electric bikes, or I would not be able to ride at all. So I feel like a kid again, and this bike brought it back. It really did. It's a nice bike. It's a very, very nice bike.
So anyway, I hope you guys like this video. I just really thoroughly enjoy Snapcycle. Highly recommend you look into it. If you have any questions, put it in the comments below and I'll be able to help you there. By the way, don't forget to subscribe and to go ahead and like this video if you like these reviews. And I'll be getting more in-depth reviews as more bikes come in as well. Thanks again to Snapcycle for sending this bike so I could do this review. I really appreciate it. And I will go ahead and see you guys in the next video.